Good evening and welcome to the Super Sunday F1 Championship in the Formula Racing League. This is round 14 at the Suzuka circuit in the land of the rising sun, that is Japan. With there being only 14 competitors this evening, with it being the glorious weather over in the UK or wherever the competitors are located around the world, and of course with the Indy 500 that is currently being contested, these are the numbers that we are having to contend with for this evening, but a lot of the top guys are still in there, so there should still be some great racing between these from the next hour or so. Now, because of the numbers, instead of the full quali, it'll be just an 18-minute short qualifying session to determine the grid for the Japanese Grand Prix, followed by a 27-lap race. And Dixon saying hello there, Mr. Cairns. Hello, Dixon. I'm sure you'll be thinking about the championship at the moment, edging ever closer. Now, out of 13 races, Dixon has won 10 of them, which has contributed to him leading the championship by such a long way. 112 points is the gap. Now, the point system for this is the same as real-life Formula 1. So we're just waiting for some cars to make their way out onto the circuit. I wonder how many of them will try and start the race on the medium compound, which is a very common thing that we see. And again, informed by Statistic King that it is going to be a dry qualifying and race, so we shouldn't see any rain for this one. Thank you for informing me there, Statistic King. We start to see some cars making their way out onto the track. One of them is Mark, one of the reserves who has been called in for this evening. He'll be hoping for a good result this time around. Here's Dixon, the championship leader, who will be going for pole position here. There's a Liverpool fan in the Racing Point. Gone in for a good result here. Exotic Alpha as well, another of those has just been called in. So out of the full-time drivers, Dixon in the Mercedes is in there. Harry also in the Red Bull. Statistic King for Alfa Romeo. Killer J in the Alpha Tauri. Rizzlesticks and Santi in the Haas cars. Big Boss Bells and Liverpool fan in the Racing Points. Night Shadow for Williams. Very for Renault. They've all been called in for this evening. Don't worry about the other folks in sector 2. That'll just be drivers just preparing for their first flying laps of this session. Mark will be the first to begin. He's on the soft compound. So let's go on board for a lap on him. So Mark, coming down to the first turn of this Suzuka circuit, lifts off the throttle as he hits the apex of 1, gets the car slow down into 4th gear, 170 kilometers an hour, and then we've got the trickiest part of the racetrack where you can lose so much time over the course of these series of corners. 4th gear as they come through the last part of the S's, and here through Dunlop, that curb on the inside there, very easy to get caught out on. It tempts you to take that inside line. Through the Degner, very easy to exceed track limits there. Oh, he got a kick of wheel spin as he come out of Degner. And now this is the hairpin. This is the slowest corner of the track, 2nd gear. You want to gain as much acceleration as you can coming out of it. He caught the curb on the inside as he exited, which will compromise his exit speed a little bit. Now a long run down to Spoon, and then coming onto the back straight where the circuit overlaps. Taking the shorter route as well. Approaching the 2nd sector. It's a 1 minute 10.7, so that's a reference time we can look at to give us an idea as to what the drivers should be targeting by the time they get to that 2nd time. And being the Casio Triangle, very nicely executed there. Oh, he got a kick of wheel spin again as he exited the Casio Triangle onto the pit straight. It'll be a 1 minute 27.2 for Mark in the Renault. We've got a McLaren next up to cross over the line. That'll be Exotic Alpha. His lap time's not as quick. It's a 1 minute 27.5 for him. Racing Point of Liverpool fan crosses the line on the mediums to post a 1 minute 28 dead. Followed by a Mercedes, that is Dixon. 1 minute 29.8 for him. So not a very good lap there for Dixon. The next driver to complete a lap, that'll be Harry in the Red Bull. He'll be one of the closest challengers to Dixon in the race. So will Santi and possibly Big Balls Bells as well. And apparently Mark is meant to be quick here, and so far he is showing it. Harry crossing over the line. It's a 27.1 that puts him to provisional pole position. Next up is Safdar, who's just slowed down on his latest flying lap for Ferrari. He's probably just doing a prep lap before he does his flyer on his set of softs. So he'll post a time. And Statistic King is the next driver to have started a flying lap. Who else is on a flying lap at the moment? Well, Mark is just coming back into the pits on his softs. Exotic Alpha not posting a better lap time so far, so he'll be coming back into the pit lane. And Safdar's had his lap invalidated on his flyer. Statistic King coming through sector 1. It's a 31.9 through there. Wouldn't expect Statistic King to be going for pole here. Perhaps 5th or 6th would be a relatively good target for him. We've got a Red Bull who's gone off into the gravel. Now, is that Harry who's gone off there? It's actually one of the Alpha Tauris. That's Killer J who's gone off at Dunlop. Got to be careful not to rejoin into the path of other drivers. He's well clear of everyone else, so he should be okay. But back to Statistic King. Exiting Spoon. Coming on to the back straight. Obviously 130i, he hasn't approached or carrying too much speed into the Casio Triangle. That'll compromise his line incredibly. Trying to carry on and complete the lap. And post the time 1 minute 29.7, but that's by no means a representative time. Safdar nearly losing it as he enters back into the pit lane. Big Balls Bells posting the fastest time of the roll now, 1 minute 26.8. That puts his Racing Point to P1 by over 0.3 of a second. Dixon is on a lap that's invalidated, so he'll need to go again. Ollie has also had his lap invalidated, and so he'll need to go and do another flyer. This is Very in the Renault. There is the other Renault just moving out of the way. That'll be Mark, who is on an outlap on his second set of what looks like soft tyres for him. Very on a very good first set. It's a 31.2. That's probably the fastest we've seen so far, as far as I know. So Very exiting the hairpin. And here he comes into Spoon over the curb. It's a very nice exit. No wheel spin on through there, so he's probably going to be wanting to be in the 1 minute 9s, possibly low 1 minute 10s for the second time being. It's 1 minute 10.3. So he's definitely in play to take provisional pole position away from Big Balls Bells. Through the Casio Triangle, takes all the curb he can. Very nicely done. No wheel spin on the exit. So I think we're going to see the fastest time of this session. And it's a 1 minute 26.7, so Very goes to P1 with that lap time. Russell Sticks next up for Haas. It's a 1 minute 28.2, not very quick for him. Killer J is on a lap that's not so quick, so I can imagine he'll just back out of it and then go for another lap just to burn a little bit of fuel. And so he goes. So Exotic Alpha and Mark have started another flying lap each. Very going off the racetrack there. Now Night Shadow is also on a flying lap. He's just started it actually, as is Killer J. Softail Alpha's just gone past the Haas though, who moves out of the way. There's a Red Bull next up for him. Should be clear at this stage. That's Harry who moves out of the way, so Exotic Alpha, he didn't get the best of exits as he got the power down. Now that hairpin there, he's pretty much on camber, so when you see a car going through a corner on camber, he's steering in, he's more likely to see the back end step out a little bit. Because you're basically on a hill, and Exotic Alpha's backed off on this run. There's Mark, who I believe has made a mistake on this lap. So he won't be going any faster than he's done so before. Dixon going up to 8th with his latest lap in the Mercedes. He's had his lap time invalidated on the exit of turn 2, so that's his lap over. Here's Killer J though, going over the lines to 29.0. He ran wide as he tried to gain as much time as possible by taking the shorter route to the line. Night Shadow going up to 6th place on the 27.9. Nearly 1.2 seconds off the pace, but he has set that time on the mediums in comparison to Very's pole position time on the softs. Here's Santi, one of 2 drivers yet to post a time of any sort in this session. Got over 7 minutes remaining of qualifying. There's no points for pole position. And we've got one of the Red Bulls going off at Dunlop, but has recovered. It was probably just moving out of the way of another driver who's coming through. But here's Santi coming through the Casio Triangle. Through the right-hand kink. Doesn't exactly take the shorter route to the line, but he goes up to 6th on a 27.7. There's a racing point coming up behind to start, or was going to start a lap. That's Big Balls Bells, and one of his picked up damage whilst he was out there on the circuit. Liverpool fan about to start another flying lap for himself on the soft compound. He set his 1 minute 28 dead on the mediums. And now we have Killer J, who's had his lap invalidated. So he'll be coming back into the pits to put another set of boots on. Night Shadow, I think, will be doing the same. And so he does. And now we've got Ollie, who's about to post his first time of the session. And it's a 1 minute 27.5 that puts him 6th fastest. Over 7/10 away from pole position. Now Safdar, I believe, is on a flying lap. He is. Over the line he goes. And it's provisional pole position, 1 minute 26.5. That's a great lap there from Safdar. 2/10 clear of Very. Now, we haven't seen the true pace of Dixon yet in this session, but he is on a flying lap on the medium compound. What can he produce on this lap? I think Santi, he's on a lap that's invalidated. So we'll go back to the Mercedes of Dixon. Now, his first set to time was 0.8 faster than what he had set on the softs. To be honest, his lap time on the softs was not very representative. He probably did it deliberately to post a lap time, a banker lap, before he goes out on the mediums again to post a better time so that he can start on those tyres. Providing he finishes in the top, he starts inside the top 10 or qualifies in the top 10, but he goes over the line now. It's a 1:26.9 on the mediums. That's a very good time that for Dixon. That puts him 4th fastest on the grid. Ollie is on a lap that's not so quick, I don't think. No, he's over 3 seconds off by sector 2, so he'll be going again. Mark has just started another flying lap in the Renault. So through Dunlop he comes. He wants to be in the low 31s by sector 1, and he is. It's a 31.2, over a 10th up from his previous best time by that point of the circuit. Coming through the hairpin. He did lock up on his way in there. There's over 4 minutes to go now, so the drivers will be thinking about going for a last gasp effort to improve their time and position. So Mark coming through. There's a McLaren. He'll try and get a bit of a toe on the back straight. It's a 1 minute 10.0, so he's on a better lap time here. He could even go to provisional pole position with this time. There's Dixon moving out of the way. Mark locks up as he enters the Casio triangle. Just the right-hander to go. Takes the shorter route to the line. It's going to be a 1 minute 26.3, and that's provisional pole position for Mark in the Renault. That's a very good time there. Nearly 2/10 faster than Safdar's lap time. Statisticing on a 31.7 through sector 1, sorry. He's on the medium compound as well. There's Rizzlesticks, who's also on a flying lap. So we've got 3 drivers who are on fast laps at the moment. Well, I say 3. Night Shadow's just run wide, and he's ruined his effort there. Here's Rizzlesticks on the soft compound in the Haas. He's looking to improve his time. It's a 1 minute 11.3. He's nearly half a second up from his previous best. So in terms of where he's going to go up on the grid, he may even get in front of Santi if he's lucky enough. Now, does he take the shorter route to the line? He does, or he tries to anyway. It's a 27.7. He goes up to 10 for that lap. So he's less than a tenth shy of Santi's lap time. There's Killer J, who's also on a flying lap in the AlphaTauri. Statisticing crossing over the line for Alfa Romeo. It's a 28.0 that puts him only 13th. So only Killer J. Oh, Killer J spun! So Killer J has spun on the exit of Dunlop. He keeps out of the way of other drivers, but that's not the first time he's made a mistake there. He's done it once or twice now before. Gets out of the way of the Haas. There's another Haas coming through as well. Now there is Rizzlesticks. Oh, sorry, Santi, I should say. Mark has retired from the session, so he's not going to be going back out again. Harry's on a flying lap in the Red Bull. It's a 1 minute 26.9 that puts him up to 6th. It's a better lap time than before, but it's not good enough to improve his position. Now, who's the next driver crossing over the line? That'll be Santi in the Haas. So Mark and Safdar won't be improving their times. We know that Safdar won't be going to pole position, or won't be starting on pole position. Santi in a disappointing 9th so far. He's in desperate need of a good result here in Suzuka to keep his slim hopes of the championship alive. Dixon 5th place at the moment on the mediums. Santi does improve to 7th, and I doubt he will be improving unless he's got enough time and ERS and fuel to get another lap completed. We've got a Racing Point crossing over the line. That will be Liverpool fan to start his last flying lap. Kill J also crossing the line to start another flying lap there in the Haas. Statistic King coming back into the pits. So the highest he will be starting is 13th. Got Dixon just completing his outlet to start his last flyer. There's Harry and there's Ollie. Ollie crossing over the line to go up to 7th on a 27.0. I'm not sure if he'll have enough time to get round and complete a faster lap time. Big Boss Bells also crossing the line to start his flying lap. 10 seconds to go before the checker flag. Night Shadow is just crossing the line now. It's a 1 minute 27.5 that puts him 10th. And I doubt he's going to go any faster than before. So he'll start no higher than 10th place on the grid. Here's Liverpool fan. There is a Haas and a Red Bull ahead of him. So we'll go to Santi, who's on a better lap than before. Nearly 2/10 up by Sector 2. He's 8th at the moment, but he needs a better lap here. He does go up to 5th. So he's ahead of Dixon. So it's a better time that from Santi. What about the Red Bull of Harry? He's come into the pits. So we'll go to Liverpool fan who's just completing his lap. It goes up to 4th on a 26.7. So the track is clearly improving. Killer J next up. He needs a better lap time than before in the AlphaTauri. He goes ahead of Statistic King into 13th. Now Dixon, who is on the softs this time, half a second up from his previous best he set on the mediums. Is this going to be good enough to put him on pole position here at Suzuka? Yes, it is. He goes to provisional pole position by over a tenth from Mark in second place. What about the others? What about Exotic Alpha? He's only 8th fastest on a 26.9. We've got a Renault who's just completed a fast lap. That's Very goes up to 3rd on a 26.4. Ollie is coming into the pits, so he won't be improving. Big Balls Bells up to 6th place. Well, he's 6th fastest on a 26.8. And they've got Night Shadow, who won't be going faster than before. He's backed off on this lap. So Dixon on pole position once again for Mercedes, starting on the soft tyres as well. Mark will be second. Very making up 2 Renaults, also making it 2 Renaults in the top 3, followed by Safdar. Then it's an old Racing Point row 3 with Liverpool Fan ahead of Big Balls Bells. Santi in a disappointing 7th for Haas. He really needed a stronger qualifying session than that, to be quite honest with you. Exotic Alpha is 8th. Another one of the reserve drivers for McLaren ahead of Harry, and Ollie on row 5 in the 2 Red Bulls. It's Night Shadow ahead of Rizzle 6, Killer J and Statistic King. Well, that was an interesting qualifying session there. There may only be 14 drivers competing, but we still saw some very fast lap times in the battle for pole position here at Suzuka. Dixon will be very happy to be starting on pole. Will he be going for his 11th victory of the season here and extend his championship lead? So run down on the grid. Dixon is on pole ahead of Mark alongside. Then it's Very in front of Safdar on row 2. Liverpool Fan and Big Balls Bells on row 3. Then it's Sunset and Exotic Alpha on row 4. Harry and Ollie on row 5, with Night Shadow and Rizzle 6 making up row 6. Killer J and Statistic King making up the grid on row 7. So as far as the championship is concerned, Dixon's lead is 112 points, 25 points for the race win, and a point for the fastest up as well. So with there being 8 races remaining after this one, whatever happens here, he won't be able to clinch the title at the next round, but it would most certainly take him a giant step closer towards it. Just looking at some messages from those who are competing. Some pondering on their mistakes on their flying laps. That was qualifying. This is the race. This is the most important part of the session. Drivers, I'm sure, will be thinking most certainly about race strategy. Now, those starting outside the top 10 will have a free choice of what tyres to start the race on. Every single driver in the top 10 had set their fastest times on the soft compound, therefore they have to start the race on those same sets of tyres for the first stint. So those starting on the softs, I expect them to be doing a 2-stop strategy. Others, like those at the back, will be thinking more about a 1-stop. So the drivers go off on their formation lap. Time to check to see what tyres each driver is on. Well, Night Shadow is on the mediums, Rizzle Sticks and Statistic King on the hards. Everyone else, including Killer J in 13th, starting on the soft compound. So Dixon looking to convert his pole position into the race victory. Can Mark do anything? I believe this is his maiden outing in the Super Sunday F1 competition. Or Super Sunday F1 series, I should say, in the Formula Racing League. There's no rain threatening the circuit. I've already been informed of what the weather is expected to be. It's going to be a dry race throughout, so no need for the intermediates or wets. From the start to the checker flag. Whilst Dixon may be thinking about the championship, there is still a battle for second place between Santi and Big Balls Bells. The gap between those two is 33 points. With Hayden, who is fourth in the championship, there's an opportunity for Night Shadow to leapfrog him going to the next round. It's going to be very difficult for him to get up there in the top two. In fact, if Night Shadow was to finish in the top three, get fastest up as well, or finish second, he would go up to second place in the championship, or at least tie with Hayden. But we'll have a look at the championship permutations a little bit later on, as the drivers are now back on the grid and we're raring to go for this Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka. The 5 lights are on. When they extinguish, we'll be racing here in the land of the rising sun. It's lights out and away we go. Dixon gets off the line poorly. Mark gets off better. He's alongside him coming down into the first turn. There's a Rebel almost going off onto the grass, but Mark down the inside of the Mercedes, and he nearly got in front by going over the curb there, but Dixon has the high ground and leads coming into the S's. It's the two Renaults of Mark and Berry alongside. Liverpool fan has got himself up into 4th place, while Big Balls has dropped back a little bit down to 7th. Therefore, Santi and Harry are up to 5th and 6th. Exotic Alpha is behind in 8th place with Ollie, Killer J rounding out the top 10. We had a spinner at the back, that's Safdar, who's continuing to have his own melodies and has dropped well down the field. So Dixon leads ahead of Mark with Very alongside, but they could well be threatening for the race victory. I hope Safdar doesn't intentionally cross the kart between now and the end of the first lap. He's got a lot of ground to make up, so he needs to be careful from here on in. He knows what he can do at the back. He knows he's a very, very quick driver, so he needs to use all his fighting abilities to get back into a points-paying position. Dixon looking to get out of DRS range from those behind. There's no DRS for the first 2 laps, so this gives Dixon a little bit of a buffer to try and pull away from the field. Mark in 2nd place, and it's Very ahead of Liverpool fan. Liverpool fan making a very good start from 5th position. Santi also gaining ground with Harry alongside. In fact, Harry is into the slipstream of Santi as they come down onto the start-finish straight. Can Harry get up the inside into the first turn? The answer is no. He has to slot back in and wait for a little bit longer. But Dixon is in the lead at the moment. What you see them on the leaderboard is not the correct race positions. So I think by the time they get through the first sector, the leaderboard should update itself. So Dixon ahead of Mark with Very behind, with Liverpool fan in 4th place. Then it's Santi and Harry. Safdar didn't pit at the end of the first lap. He doesn't have damage by the looks of things, so he's able to carry on as he is. Now it's saying that it's lap 3, but it's not actually lap 3, it's lap 2 at the moment. Hopefully that's something that Codemasters can fix by the time F1 2021 does officially release on July the 16th. But back to the action, Very going to the outside. This will be a very brave move if he can pull it off on his teammate Mark. He gets the job done before the corner, and that's a very nice move there from Very. Gets his Renault up into 2nd place. Mark thinking about fighting back, locks up as he closes back in on the gearbox of his teammate, but has to contend with 3rd place. Harry getting ahead of Santi up into 5th position. Santi almost dropping back into the clutches of Big Balls Bells and Exotic Alpha, and Safdar's out. Safdar's retired on the exit of Spoon. I hope that doesn't trigger a safety car or a virtual, but he's now out of the race. Mark trying to get back through on his teammate and goes up into 2nd place now, with Very dropping behind in 3rd, and we've got a virtual safety car. Now I wonder if Safdar intentionally crashed the car on the exit of Spoon. That'll be something that the stewards will need to have a look at if he has done. But otherwise, he'll be going no further. No points for him today. And Exotic Alpha has spun. And he's out of it. Exotic Alpha's crashed into the barrier and he's out. What an embarrassment there for Exotic Alpha. And his race is over. So he's spun under the virtual safety car, hitting the barrier on the outside. His front left suspension is broken, and that's his race over. Now, will that trigger a safety car at this stage of the race? So Exotic Alpha joins Safdar on the sidelines. Now, well, Exotic Alpha saying it glitched when the car hit the barrier. It was a very light touch, to be fair, but it was still enough to break the front suspension and end his race on the spot. Very line up a pass on Mark as he goes to the outside with DRS. Takes a bit of grass on the way through. They are going side by side into the first turn. Mark goes defensive and correctly positions his Renault to keep hold of second place. Harry in fourth place now, ahead of Liverpool Fan, with Big Balls Bells ahead of Santi, with Ollie, Night Shadow and Statistic King rounding out the top 10 point scorers. Killer J right behind in 11th, and Rizzlesticks dropping back all the time in 12th place on his hard tyres. But it won't be too long before the leaders start pitting. We are only on that 4. Now Kenny, who is Exotic Alpha in this race, saying he hadn't hit it really hard. I know he hadn't hit it really hard, but he did hit it enough for the front left suspension to wreck itself. But Harry's right behind Very now. He'll be gunning for that DRS by the time they get onto the pit straight. 130 to go. Harry was quite late in turning in there. Sits back a little bit behind Very. Now Mark could find himself very engulfed here because Very and Harry have got DRS, but Mark is using his ERS to defend, so he might be able to keep hold of second place again. Now there's Very going to the outside. Couldn't quite make the move stick. Santi ahead of Ollie and Night Shadow. Statistic King ahead of Killer J. And there's Rizzlesticks right at the back. Dixon extending the margin. The gap is now 3.4 seconds. Then the highest of those who have started not on the softcore. In fact, Ollie's spun in the Red Bull. Ollie has spun at Dunlop, and he falls down to 11th place. He'll be ahead of Rizzlesticks. Yeah, not good sight there for the Red Bull driver. One of the reserves for this evening. But Dixon continuing to extend his margin. In fact, whilst Mark, Very and Harry are fighting over position, Dixon will take the opportunity to pull away from these guys. In fact, Harry gets past Very on the exit of Spoon to put himself up into third position. And the reason why Rizzlesticks is that far down the order, actually, considering the gap between himself and Ollie, is because he had to serve a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. So that's why he's so far back. Meanwhile, Harry will have DRS and using a little BRS to close in to try and get past Mark for second place. He's not quite gaining enough, though, and so he'll have to sit behind for a little bit longer. His best place to get it done is probably at Spoon. And Ollie and Rizzlesticks are now in for pit stops. Ollie needs a new front wing. I think Rizzlesticks needs the same as well. Or was he taking his drive-through penalty? I think Rizzlesticks was taking his drive-through penalty and already taken it by that point. So Ollie and Rizzlestick's way down the order, but considering the number of cars left in this race, they might as well keep going to score some points. There's Harry behind Mark in third, using all the curb. Harry looking to get past Mark. He probably won't do it into the Casio Triangle, or is he? He's done it into the Casio Triangle, and because he was behind the Renault at the detection point for the DRS, he was able to get past him. Rizzlestick's retired. Rizzlestick's has crashed out on the exit of Degner, and we've got another virtual safety car. Now, what will this mean for those starting on the soft compound? Santi's coming into the pits to get either a set of mediums or hards being put on. There's nobody else coming into the pits under the virtual safety car, so he won't be held up by other guys. And a set of mediums is going on the Haas, and he's out on his way. And he's got clear track ahead of him. So Rizzlestick is the third driver to exit from this race now. Down to 11 runners. But Dixon, his lead is not totally wiped out, to be honest with you. But he will be thinking about when to pit in at this point. Night Shadow's now got a drive-through penalty for speeding onto the virtual safety car, so it's bad news for him. Starting on the mediums as well. You do lose quite a bit of time at the Suzuka circuit when it comes to pitting. So Harry now up to second place in the Red Bull. Can he go after race leader Dixon? Coming through the Casio Triangle. Now will Mark use the DRS to his advantage? They've both got the same amount of ERS though, so I think Harry was able to use it to his advantage to pull away from the Renault. Night Shadow coming into the pits to serve his drive-through penalty. He's put the limiter on very early, actually. Didn't need to put it on that early, did Night Shadow. He's lost even more time by doing that. Here is Santi, who will go ahead of him. Up into ninth place goes the Haas. He'll be gunning for a good result here. He'll have gained quite a bit of time by pitting under the virtual safety car. He's got a clear track ahead of him. He's got 9.6 seconds to make up on Killer J, who's out. Killer J has retired at Dunlop, and yet we've got yet another virtual safety car. So Killer J's binned it on the exit of Dunlop. Now whereabouts? Oh, he's lost it. He hit the barrier on the inside. That's at least the third time he's crashed or has spun at that section of the circuit. He's paid an even bigger price than before, and he's out of the Japanese Grand Prix. We've got our third virtual safety car of the race. Now, Dixon is quite a bit away from the pit lane to make a pit start under the virtual safety car. Will he go for it? I'm surprised it was not a safety car, to be honest with you, considering where Killer J has crashed. Now, will he pit in at the end of this lap? No, he doesn't. I wonder if Harry will. No, he doesn't. Mark stays out, as does Very. But we are back underway now. Lap 9 out of 27, so at the third waypoint. 10 drivers left in the race now. Dixon continuing to lead, keeping track position. And Harry's over 3 seconds behind in second, with Mark third and Very fourth. Those two battling for that final podium spot. Let's not discount Santi at the moment though, because with him on the fresh mediums, he could threaten the guys for a podium if he can manage to complete an undercut. So 8.8 seconds, you can clearly see he's gaining ground on Statistic King in 7th. So as they come through the Casio triangle, very looking to make a pass on Mark, but it's irrelevant now because Mark is coming into the pits for his first stop of the race. So he's taking those tyres 9 laps. A set of mediums are ready for him. Will he go to the end of the race on those, or will he think about pitting again before the end? We'll have to wait and see. Now, Statistic King will go past him. He should get out in front of Santi. Should Mark. So Santi is coming down the start finish straight, but Mark is well clear. So Mark rejoins in 7th place ahead of the Haas. Now, what will Dixon do? Will he respond to cover off the Renault? There is Dixon out in front. Very's now got a bit of clear track ahead of him, so try and maybe complete an overcut on his teammate. It's going to be very difficult for him to do that because Mark is on the fresher tyres and he doesn't have anyone that he's challenging ahead of him. Now, will Dixon, Harry, Very, or even Big Balls Bells choose to pit in at the end of this lap? Dixon's trying to take his tyres as far as he can. He's pitting in at the end of this lap. Now, will Harry do the same? He will. Very is also doing the same. I can imagine Big Balls Bells will come in. The Liverpool fan stays out as he knows that his teammate is coming in. So he'll go around and do another lap. But Dixon has completed his stop. And Very had to be held there a little bit by the racing point who was coming down. So that I think that's going to pretty much ensure that Mark is going to go back ahead of his teammate. And he may be able to get the jump on Harry into 2nd place. He does so. So Mark has completed the undercut on both his teammate and the Red Bull of Harry. So Mark effectively is in 2nd place now in this race. So brilliant outlap from Mark, one of the reserve drivers for this evening, to get the jump on Harry. He hasn't been able to get the jump on Dixon though. Dixon's lead was too big for it to be for Mark to complete the undercut on. But Mark will be very happy with that work he has done in the last lap or so. Now, Statistic King is in the sandwich of these two drivers who are battling for victory. He is on the hard tyres, so he is going to go on a long first stint. So Mark is going to have to try and pass him on track if he is to challenge Dixon for the victory. He needs to be as quick as he can though, because Harry is breathing him down. And Very is also behind the Haas of Santi. So being stuck in the pits whilst waiting for Big Balls Bells to go past him through the fast lane has allowed Santi to complete the undercut on the Renault. So Very's lost out big time. So here's Mark. Very much within a second of Statistic King. You don't even need a stopwatch to tell you that he's within a second, judging by this picture. But Mark has also set a new fastest up of the race. Goes to the inside of Statistic King. Harry's going to follow suit as well. Both of them go up to 2nd and 3rd places now on the road. Statistic King down to 4th. And Liverpool fan is now in the pits. His teammate will go back through. And Liverpool fan rejoins in 8th behind his teammate. Now Liverpool fan is on the mediums. But at least he has a lap fresher tyres than his teammate. Very's also got past Santi, back up to 5th place. Now he's spun! And Very's spun. He's wrecked his front wing as well. So Very's race goes from bad to worse. Big Balls Bells and Liverpool fan are coming through. The good news for them, though, is that Very's car has been ghosted, so he doesn't rejoin into the path of other drivers. Night Shadow's also gone past, and Very will rejoin in 9th place and with a damaged front wing. Now Harry is in 3rd, all over the back of Mark. As they continue to close in on Dixon. And Very's gone off at Degner. I think he may have just let in the Red Bull go past. Now, will he decide to call it quits when he goes back into the pit lane? Or will he carry on and just try and get that point? Now, the good news for him, actually, is that if he comes in and carries on, he may be able to set the fastest lap, with there being only 10 cars left in this race. The fastest lap is currently held by Mark. Well, I say it's Mark. It's now been taken away by Dixon. 1 minute 29.2 for Dixon. There's Harry down the start finish straight with DRS, goes to the outside as they come into the first turn, and Harry gets back up into second place ahead of the Renault. I don't think that'll be the last time we'll see these two tussling for position between now and the checkered flag. Now there is Statistic King in 4th place. He'll be thinking about when to pit in. Now with him on the hards, he won't want to pit in yet, because if he pits in around about lap 19 or 20, he can go onto a set of the soft compound, which he can try and set the fastest lap on. So now in the end of the race. Now a twist in the tail as Harry has got a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits too many times. Very is back in the pits in the Renault, going onto a set of the soft compound tyres. He'll have to be hoping for a safety car now, to be quite honest with you. But Harry's now up into 2nd place and pulling away from Mark. Coming through the Casio triangle now. 9 tenths between these two. Now Harry, he was less than a second ahead of Mark at the detection points, and Mark is using his DRS, but he's nowhere near close enough to have a go. So Harry's going to be very much clear to pull away from Mark and go after Dixon. Statistic King looking very content in 4th place, having a good race so far. And Night Shadow is back in the pits for the Williams team. This is his 2nd pit stop. He's already been in for a set of tyres and a drive-through penalty. So this is his 3rd visit to the pits overall. Ollie's in the pits for Red Bull. Go on to a set of the medium compound, which you can go to the end of the race on. So Night Shadow coming back out of the pits now on his hard tyres. That will see him to the end, and I'm sure Ollie's mediums will see him to the end of, as well. So Dixon's lead is down to 2.8 seconds, but he will know that Harry's time penalty will be applied at the end of this race. So even if Harry was to get in front of Dixon, he would need to pull out a 3-second margin on him in order to win this race. Now Mark using every last bit of his ERS as he can to stay within a second of Harry when he gets DRS on the start finish straight. There is only one DRS zone on the start finish straight here, so only one DRS zone on this Suzuka circuit, which is on the start finish straight. They don't use it on the back straight before 130R because 130R is not a braking zone. I wonder if Very will be very much at breaking point here, because he's been given a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits that may prove to be irrelevant, as he is just racing for pride now, trying to go for the fastest lap. He is on his first flying lap on the soft tyres that he's on, so he could go for the fastest lap at this point. One other driver who'll be contending possibly for the fastest lap later on is Statistic King. He's on the hard tyres in 4th place. So Harry's got the gap down. It's now 2.5 seconds between him and Dixon. So Harry is actually making up ground on the Mercedes. We've had 3 virtual safety cars in this race, but not a full safety car. In fact, if the safety car was to come out, that would very much play into Statistic King's hands, because he hasn't stopped yet. I'm sure he'll be thinking about when to be pitting him. Now Mark 7 tenths behind Harry. As they come into the detection point again, he will have DRS. DRS open now on the Renault. They come down the start finish straight. Statistic King over the line to complete lap 15. Setting some good times actually through all this. Now, Very's not set the fastest lap of the race yet. Now, as it stands in the championship, Dixon would win the race and get the fastest lap. So his points total would see him come away with 26 points. Santi in 5th would come away with only 10. And Big Boss Bells coming away with only 8. So Dixon's lead in the championship would extend to 128 points, which is more than 5 race wins, with 8 rounds to go after this. Here is Mark. And now Very sets the new fastest lap, which takes away from Dixon. So Very will be looking to continue setting fastest laps. He probably won't go to the end of the race on those soft tyres, so that's probably why he wants to try and go for the fastest lap. Mark now has a time penalty of his own. 3 seconds it is, so if he is going to get second place now, he'll have to overtake Harry. Here is Statistic King. Still not pitting yet, and we've got a spinner. It's Very who spun again at Dunlop. And he's wrecked his front wing as well. And he'll need to be pitting again. I wonder if he'll retire at the end of this lap or carry on as he is. He has got the fastest lap point at the moment though, so he'll want to try and protect it by going on another set of the soft compound. Statistic King, if he was to pit now, he would rejoin behind Liverpool Fan in 7th place, but he would have clean air. So he'll probably do another lap after this before he chooses to pit in. But I suppose the advantage that he'll have, unlike those who were on the softs earlier on in the race, when you're on less fuel, therefore less weight, you're not having to put as much load into the tyre when you're steering into corners. Very's now back in the pits for Renault, and he's calling it a day. Not surprised, to be honest with you. Very does hold the fastest lap point at this moment of time, but with him out of the race, he won't be classified. He won't have done enough laps to be classified, therefore that point would not be going to him. Here's Santi in 5th position behind Statistic King. Now there's a battle going on between Mark and Harry for 2nd place, both of which have a time penalty each now. There's also a battle between Santi and Statistic King. Now I imagine that Santi's tyres will be going away as much as Statistic King's tyres are doing so. So it'll be a straight fight between the two. How long will it be before Statistic King decides to pit in? He'll be probably about thinking of going for the fastest lap actually, rather than battling with the racing points. Now Harry is 1.6 seconds behind Dixon as they come around to complete 2/3 race distance. Harry using all the curb he can. It's a very nice way to execute the Casio triangle. Now Santi going to the inside as both him and Statistic King go into the Casio triangle. Now, will Statistic King pit in this lap? The answer is yes. So, Santi losing momentum and time, being stuck behind Statistic King, and it's allowing Big Boss Bells and Liverpool Fan to close in on him. Statistic King, will he go onto a set of the soft compound? The answer is yes. So, Statistic King not only is on course for a 7th place finish, but he's also got an opportunity to go for the fastest lap. Comes back out in 7th place, behind the Racing Points, who are well clear of him. He is at the moment just over 15 seconds behind them, so I doubt he will be able to get past them unless any of them make a mistake. There is Mark behind Harry in the battle for 2nd position. They both have a time penalty that is worth the same, so this is a straight fight. They're 15 seconds clear of Santi, who won't be troubling these two. Dixon can... I think he can breathe easily, but not too much. Harry will be thinking more about protecting 2nd, to be honest with you, than going for the race. In fact, Dixon's in. So Dixon's in for a pit stop. We've also got Ollie, who's off in the gravel trap down at Dunlop. So is Dixon going for the fastest lap as well? That's a very strange decision there from Dixon. He'll rejoin behind Santi. And he'll rejoin behind the Racing Point of Big Balls Bowles. So Dixon rejoins in 5th position. I can't believe he's actually done that, you know. Perhaps he wants a challenge of going for the fastest lap point, but that is very, very risky for him. So he's down to 5th place now, behind Big Balls Bowles. He should get by him very easily, to be honest with you. I don't think Big Balls Bowles is going to fight it out that much. Now, does Dixon get it done into Degner? It'd be very risky to do it there. But he can get it done in the hairpin. Well, this is going to make for a thrilling finish. Now, the good news for Dixon, actually, is that if he can get to within 3 seconds of both Harry and Mark, he would take the victory. So Big Balls Bowles has been disposed. Next up is Santi, who's on medium tyres. They've done 12 laps already. Ollie's back in the pits now for Red Bull. He'll probably be thinking about going for the fastest lap as well. I'm going to go back to the battle for the lead at the moment because Mark is within DRS range, but he's too far back to have a go on this occasion, so he waits behind a little bit longer. 7 laps to go. Dixon will be all over the back of Santi like a rash in a moment or so. Coming into turn 2. Dixon now 0.8 of a second behind Santi. This is a section of the racetrack where Dixon can make up the most time with him on much grippier tyres than the Haas driver. Statistic King posted a new fastest lap. Now the first driver to post a time in the 1:28 in this race. Can he pull off the same move as what he did on Big Balls Bowles a lap ago? Goes to the inside into the hairpin, and a very nice manoeuvre there. Covers his line, and he'll have a better exit than the Haas driver, given he is on better tyres, to go up into 3rd place. And he's got 17 seconds to make up now on Mark and Harry. Well, 14 technically. He doesn't actually need to pass them. He just needs to get to within 3 seconds of both drivers in order to take the victory. Goes past the Red Bull Ollie, who's been lapped. The yellow flag will be for that reason, as he's just moving away out of the leaders. But Dixon crossing over the line now to begin lap 22. And he's posted a new fastest lap now, so the fastest lap point has gone back in Dixon's favour. Now, can he use his pace to close down on Harry and Mark? Now, the thing is, if Harry and Mark start fighting with each other, Dixon will be closing in on them more. So Mark has got a great opportunity to win. First time out, actually. Harry has got the opportunity to win as well. I think Jay Hartnell's won a race this season. Can't remember who else has won a race in the Super Sunday F1 Championship. Dixon has won 10 out of the 13 races. He's not gaining that much time on them at the moment, though. I know he's on the soft compound, but I still actually can't believe he actually decided to pit in. I really can't believe that at all. So here's Mark and Harry. Now, I think the thing is, Mark is using his DRS to stay in touch with Harry, which is allowing him to pull away a little bit on Dixon. Although Dixon is going to be on better tyres than those guys. He's a 1 minute 28.9. He's just set on that last lap he's done. He is closing in on them, but not very much. He needs to make up 12 seconds on them. With 5 laps remaining, he needs to take out, at the very minimum, 2 seconds each lap. Now, the S is where he's going to find the most time at, because he's on better tyres than Harry and Mark. He's in all the curb and then some. You can see there the gap between him and Mark is coming down all the time. And there's no back markers to deal with now. It's just a straight pursuit on the Renault. Dixon taking the shorter routes round the corners as well. The gear shifts as well. The time of the gear shifts on Dixon, absolutely splendid. Got a battle for 4th place on at the moment, because Santi is going to need to go defensive here, because Big Balls Battles is on medium tyres. They've done 4 laps less than the Haas. Dixon, the gap between him and Mark is down to 14 seconds with 4 laps to go. Big Balls Battles a second behind Santi. You can see Dixon making up time as he's going through the corners. Harry's on course to take victory here at Suzuka. Dixon, I think, will be ruining that mistake, coming in for the soft compound. DRS is going to be used by Mark. Dixon not making up enough time at the moment. Santi fending off Big Balls Bells. Big Balls Bells will use DRS on the start-finish straight to pull alongside and go past him, actually. To the inside he goes into the first turn. And the racing point goes through, does he? No, he doesn't. Oh, the two make contact. Santi kept his foot in it, and Big Balls Bells didn't quite have the job done. So great defending there from Santi to keep his Haas in 4th place. Now Mark and Harry, 9/10 adrift of each other on that 25. As it stands in the championship, with Dixon getting 16 points and Santi getting 12, the gap would still increase to 116 points going into the next round of the championship. This would only be the 4th race Dixon not winning. Mark continuing to use the DRS on the start finish straight. Big Balls Bells will be looking to attack. And Santi again, he is closer than he was beforehand, so I think this is going to be a change of position here, which would also see Dixon's gap in the championship. Oh, Big Balls Bells got out of shape coming out of the Casio triangle. That'll cost him some speed down the start finish straight, and they'll have to wait behind Santi again. We're now on the penultimate lap of this Japanese Grand Prix. Harry leading after Dixon making a second pit stop to go onto the soft tyres to try and get a race victory and fastest lap, but the gamble just didn't pay off at all. Far too risky of a move, and he's paid a price for it. Mark will be happy with second place though. Dixon third, with Santi fighting over fourth place with Big Balls Bells, who's closing in on him. Then we've got Liverpool Fan in sixth place, had a Statistic King, Night Shadow and Ollie, the rest of those who are still running. We've lost Very from this race, who retired in the pits after taking too much damage and falling too far back from the rest of the field. He could have been in play for the victory, actually, had it not been for that mistake. Rizzlesticks also retired, along with Exotic Alpha, who crashed out. And we've got someone else who's gone for a spin. It's the Williams of Night Shadow, who has carried on his way. So Exotic Alpha crashed out during the virtual safety car period, and Safdar also retired on the exit of Spoon, which caused one of the virtual safety cars of this race. But we are now on the last lap. Harry, 1 second clear of Mark. Now the time penalties that both these drivers have is 3 seconds, so Harry would still take victory. And Big Balls Bells has now got past Santi down the start finish straight and going up into fourth place. So Big Balls Bells continuing a good race so far, a clean race for him. Don't think Liverpool fans going to have enough time to catch Santi, who is on... Oh, he's got a puncher! Santi's got a puncher on the front left. So Santi's race, his gamble to go on those medium tyres after that early pit stop did not pay off. So he's got a deflating tyre, and Liverpool fan will most certainly go past him. Statistic King will go past him. So I think Santi's going to fall down to 7th by the end of this race. But here's Harry on the back straight as he enters 130R for the last time, with Mark right behind him. 1.6 seconds is the gap. Harry managed his tyres well since he came in. He'll be very pleased to take victory at Suzuka. Harry wins the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka, and Mark has gone off. Mark has hit the barrier on the outside, exiting the Casio triangle, and he's out of the race before the line. Would you believe it? So Dixon's going to be second. And Big Balls Bells cannot believe his luck, as he will be crossing the line third. But what on earth happened to Mark? That's incredible. Liverpool fan will cross the line in fourth place. Santi with that punctured tyre will still be fifth, actually, ahead of Statistic King. But Mark is going to fall down to 8th place by the finish. That's a very, very strange development there for Mark and for the Renault team, who could have got a double podium today. Instead, it's just going to be an 8th place finish. An interesting last lap that was. But either way, Harry is your race winner in Suzuka, with Dixon second. And Big Balls Bells will be very delighted with his third place. Dixon getting 19 points then, Santi getting 10, which will see Dixon's lead in the championship increase now to 121 points. Harry will most certainly be delighted with that victory. It's been coming for some time. He's been unlucky in previous races in Azerbaijan and Vietnam, but he's got it right today, managing inside as well and leading Dixon home. I wonder if Dixon will be ruining that mistake going on to the medium tyres or the soft tyres for that second stop. Just wasn't able to make up enough ground on Harry and Mark, but at least he's finished second nevertheless. Big Balls Bells third place, which will see him close to Santi, close on Santi in the battle for second place in the championship. So final classification then, Harry wins by 10 seconds over Dixon in second place, and it's Big Volatiles in third place. Football Fan fourth, ahead of Santi. Statistic King, Night Shadow. Mark, despite crashing out meters before the line, is classified in 8th. Ollie, the last of the finishers, in 9th. Dixon gets the point for the fastest lap, so he comes away with that as well as his second place finish. Very out of the race after pitting too often for front wing damage. Killer J also retired, as did Rizzle 6, Exotic Alpha, and Safdar. So another update on the championship. Harry's lead, or say Dixon's lead in the championship, has increased to 121 points with 8 rounds to go. The next round of the championship will be in Monaco in a week's time, 7 PM British Summer Time. I'm Tom Cairns, and I'll speak to you again soon when the Formula Racing League returns.